It was a sunny afternoon in downtown Los Angeles. The Helping Hands USA team set up a simple food stall with a banner saying, "Free meals, free smiles." The aroma of freshly cooked rice, chicken, and warm bread quickly drew attention. At first, people hesitated, thinking it might be a trick or some hidden cost. But as soon as the first man, a homeless veteran, received a plate and tears welled up in his eyes, others began to step forward. Families struggling with bills, single mothers, and day workers lined up, and every person received food with dignity. Many couldn't believe that in a world where everything had a price, kindness still existed without conditions. One little girl whispered, "Mom, it feels like Christmas," while holding her warm plate of food. The highlight of the day was when a man who had eaten returned with a small flower in his hand. He placed it on the stall, saying, "I have nothing to give back, but this is for you." That simple act showed how kindness sparks more kindness. By the end of the day, over 500 meals had been served. But more than food, what was shared was hope, love, and humanity. The smiles captured on people's faces told the story of how a simple meal can feed not just the stomach, but also the heart. It was a freezing night in New York City, the streets covered with snow, and the wind biting through every layer. The Helping Hands USA team loaded their van with blankets, jackets, gloves, and socks. As they walked through the dark alleys and subway entrances, they found dozens of homeless people curled up under thin sheets, shivering in silence. Approaching one man, the volunteer gently offered him a thick blanket. His hands trembled as he touched the warm fabric, whispering, "I thought I wouldn't survive tonight." The gratitude in his eyes said more than words ever could. Further down the street, they met an elderly woman who had been living on the sidewalks for months. When given a winter jacket, she immediately put it on and hugged the volunteer tightly, saying, "You gave me life tonight." The night was filled with moments like this, handshakes, hugs, and tears of relief. Some people even shared their life stories, reminding us that behind every face is a journey full of struggles and dreams. By the end of the distribution, dozens of people were sleeping warmer, safer, and more hopeful. The message of the episode was clear. Something as small as a blanket can be the difference between despair and survival. At a local Walmart in Texas, the Helping Hands USA team walked quietly through the aisles, choosing random shoppers to bless. As one mother reached the counter with her cart full of groceries, she looked worried, counting and recounting her money. Just before she could remove items to reduce the cost, a volunteer stepped in and gently handed his card to the cashier. The woman froze. "What? Why would you do this?" she asked in shock. With a smile, the volunteer said, "Because kindness is free, and today, you deserve a break." Tears rolled down her face as she hugged him. Another scene unfolded with an elderly man buying just a few basic items, milk, bread, and eggs. He confessed that his pension barely covered rent. When the volunteer covered his bill, he said, "I thought the world had forgotten people like me." Each surprise created ripple effects. Other customers clapped, some cried, and a few even offered to help pay for someone else's groceries too. By the end of the day, dozens of families left the store not just with groceries but with lighter hearts. The episode ended with a simple truth. Sometimes, lifting a financial burden means giving someone back their smile. The schoolyard buzzed with excitement as the Helping Hands USA van pulled up, filled with colorful backpacks, notebooks, pencils, and crayons. Dozens of children rushed to see what was happening. Volunteers began handing out supplies, and the kids' eyes lit up with pure joy. One little boy clutched his new backpack and said, "Now I can be like the other kids." His mother, standing nearby, had tears in her eyes. She whispered, "I didn't know how I would afford school supplies this year. You've saved us." Another little girl opened her backpack to find not only books and pens, but also a small teddy bear tucked inside. She hugged it tightly and said, "This is the best day ever." Parents expressed their gratitude repeatedly, some even saying that this act of kindness had lifted a huge burden from their shoulders. Teachers too were overwhelmed, realizing how much easier learning would be for these kids now that they had the tools they needed. The episode showed that education is not just about books, it's about giving children confidence and hope for the future. With every backpack given, the Helping Hands USA team wasn't just handing out supplies, they were handing out dreams. 0. In this episode, the Helping Hands USA team decided to show how even the smallest gestures can change someone's day. Volunteers walked through busy streets with flowers, water bottles, snacks, and handwritten positive notes that said things like, "You are loved, keep going," and "The world needs your smile." One man, looking tired and stressed, was handed a rose with the note, "Better days are coming." His face softened, and he smiled for the first time in hours. A group of construction workers received cold water bottles, and one of them laughed, saying, "You guys made our day." Another volunteer stood with a sign that read, "Free hugs." At first, people walked by nervously, but soon, strangers lined up, hugging and laughing together. The energy in the street transformed from dull and rushed to warm and joyful. The final scene showed a young woman holding a note that said, "You are stronger than you think." She whispered, "I really needed this today." The episode ended with a reminder. Kindness doesn't need to cost much. Sometimes a smile, a hug, or a kind word can heal a heart.